everybody, how are you doing today? So, fresh out the shower. Fresh. And I was like, oh, I have a good idea for a video. Let's go shoot it. So here we are with 5 licks that, in my eyes, sound more difficult than what they actually are. They're very pattern-based, and once you get the overall concept of them, pretty easy to move around. And I just play them in general. So we're going to jump to it. If you want tabs for this lesson, that is down below in the description. You can pick up my lesson packs that I have available on my website on alternate picking and all that kind of stuff. And other than that, let's get going. Woo! Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into these. Now I'm just going to go ahead and play you all 5 licks so you can hear them and see if you even want to spend your time learning them. And then we will break down each one individually. So here is licks 1 through 5. Alright, so lick number 1 now. This style of lick I first heard from, Eddie Van Halen, Dimebag Darrell, stuff like that, like in the Panama solo. He does kind of a lick similar to this. And I was just like, what in the world is happening? And as I got a little bit older, I understood what was happening, and I was like, oh wow, it's really not that difficult. And so what I'm doing here is I'm playing 12 on the high E string. Now, the picking is more up to you, what works best for you, but I'll show you exactly how I do it. I go 12 on the high E string, and I do a hand run from nowhere to 15, and I pull off 12 on the B. So I kind of bar my index fingers. Okay? Which, I'm usually not a big fan of that, but I kind of have to for this one. And then what I do is I do another hand run from nowhere to the 15 on the G. Yeah, flat 5, so it kind of makes it a little bit more mean sounding instead of just going to that 14. So... Now, the reason I can pull that note off to nothing, basically, I hand run from nowhere and I pull off to no note, is I'm muting with my right hand. So I'm going, okay? So when I pick that finger up, that note really doesn't have anywhere to go. It just kind of disappears. Because by that point, I'm picking the high E string again. And to me, it always was kind of like, it sounds almost like out of control. It can be very aggressive sounding. And, there's really just not much going on with it. Alright, so lick number 2 is a Paul Gilbert one. And when I first saw Paul Gilbert do this, this was one of those things that I definitely thought I would never be able to do. But slow, it goes like this. And it's so cool because once you get it, it's incredibly simple. Now, there is a, for me anyways, the picking is the trick to this one. So this is an E minor arpeggio. It's using string skipping, going 15, pull off 12 on the high E string. Now that is a down pick for me. Now I skip the B and go to the G, and that is 16, pull off 12, which is also a down pick. Okay, so then I go to 14 on the D with my middle finger. Another down. Okay, so 3 downs in a row, and why I do that is because I'm kind of hopping over the string, that way I'm not crossing it, because then you might end up hitting it, and then you get, get that big ring out, and we don't want that. Now when I go to the G now, I'm going to go 12, hammer on 16, which is an up pick, and then 12 on the high E string, which is an up. So I end up going down, 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 up, up. And it just, once you get that going and the picking and stuff like that, it's really not difficult at all. You can actually do like a simplified version of it. You can't, without the string skip right here, just be going 15 to 12 on the high string, 15, 12 on the B, 14 on the G, 12 hammer on 15, and then 12 on the high. Make sure you keep the picking the same, even though we're not, hopping strings now. You just want to get your hand used to this motion. So down, 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 up, up. And there you have lick number 2. Alright, so lick number 3 is a cool little tapping lick. It was actually inspired from Dimebag Darrell again, and the cowboy solo. He does a lick. He doesn't use tapping. He does this kind of crazy little legato line, just moving it straight across the string, kind of like an Eddie Van Halen trick. And so what I did was I did tapping, and to me it still sounded really cool, a slightly different feel to it, but to someone who, you know, is maybe kind of just getting into the intermediate land and stuff like that, that might sound really intimidating to them. At least it would have to me. And it is incredibly simple what I'm doing here. I'm simply tapping 19 on the high string, pulling off the 12, then I hammer on to 15, then I tap 19 again, then I pull off to 15, and pull off 12. Oh, whoa! I pull off 12. So, okay. If you can get that going just on one string, you kind of have it, because it's literally the same notes, same shape, everything across all 6 strings. So, move up a string. Now I did it all once in the beginning. You could obviously add string skipping if you wanted. Whatever you want to do with it. It can kind of just become one of those cool, kind of out of control sounding licks. Alright, so lick number 4. Shut the door. Is this one right here. Now, the reason I threw this in here, it's not necessarily an easy lick, but once you get the pattern, kind of like with the others, it's really not that difficult anymore. It's just moving through the scale. So real slow. So I'm just basing this all out of E minor or G major. You know, I guess it all really depends what you're playing over. But the pattern is this. I'm going 10 to 7 on the high. Then I'm going to go 8, and then 10, and then 8, 7. It's actually the exact same pattern as the tapping lick that we just did. But I'm not tapping now, I'm picking it all. You simply just do that twice. Now I shift up in the scale, and I'm going to go 12, 8, 10. Shifting up again, 14, 10, 12. Shifting up again, 15, 12, 14. I'm ending on that the A note. You can kind of end wherever you want. And that's just kind of a cool one because you can really mess around with that. Just you can slide it around. So to me that's a cool one because you can really slide it around if you know your scale pretty well. Alright, and the fifth and final one, I thought we needed to venture back into the pentatonic land. This is, to me, Zakk Wylde, Kirk Hammett kind of territory here. And I remember hearing these licks, and I just thought they sounded really cool. Mark Tremonti does some licks kind of like this in his playing. And basically the lick is this. And I remember hearing it because when you pick it all, it sounds very aggressive and kind of intimidating. And I was like, wow, that's such a cool lick. And like I said, it's one of those licks when you finally learn it, you're like, yes, I can play this lick. So it was 17 and 12 on the high string. And I'm going to go 15, 12 on the high. And I go 15, 12 on the beat. That's kind of like the first half of it. Just combining box 1 and 2 of E minor pentatonic. All alternate picks starting on the down. Now, to kind of venture out of that pentatonic sound if you want, you can go like this. You can go 15, 12, then 14, 12. That's more like a natural minor. Then you're going to go 15 to 12 on the beat. So. Oh. Alright guys, hope hope you enjoyed that lesson. I hope you got something out of it. Like I said, to me they're just 5 pretty simple licks once you get the idea behind them. And they're just fun to play. So like I said, make sure you get those tabs, check out the lesson packs, look at Skype lessons, all that stuff over on my website. And I will see you next time. Peace out, homies. Keep on rocking, and I'll see you later.